alienation.
I want you to laugh in spite of me, not because of me. It's an example of the theatrical practice known as Brechtian alienation. It is. It's an incredibly high-risk performance strategy that very few people seem to appreciate.
Otherwise known as the distancing effect, Brechtian alienation is where a performer will seek to disrupt what's happening on stage by pointing out the artificiality of their own performance. It's basically about making the audience hyper-aware that what's happening on stage isn't real, that things are not occurring in the moment, in a bid to create a distance between the audience and the performer. As Brecht states, the artist's objective is to appear strange and even surprising to the audience. He achieves this by looking strangely at himself and his work. In film or theatre, Brechtian alienation is often shown through bare or minimal sets, obvious and telegraphed lighting changes, characters breaking the fourth wall or addressing the camera directly, and the plot being spoiled in advance of it happening. If this isn't ringing bells with Stewart Lee, you probably haven't watched him enough.
It's about 5 minutes from the end. It's about 10 o'clock. I will repeat the phrase "carpet remnant world" over some music, and that will give the illusion of structure.
Lee's whole performance strategy is pretty much a high-wire act of Brechtian proportions. He is constantly poking holes both in his stage persona and the artifice of his performance. He'll come on stage with his hands dense with notes, immediately robbing his performance of any spontaneity.
Russell Brand and Dan Brown, celebrity hardbacks. And if you're near the front now, you can see I'm just doing hand there, hand. Talk about what's on my hand.
He'll use props or pieces of paper, noting how bringing a deliberate piece of artifice into a performance that strives to give the illusion of spontaneity is what makes it funny. Sometimes he'll take this a step further, reading out something the audience assumes to be true before later revealing that what he had read out was blatantly false.
Interesting thing about those 4 quotes. The second interesting thing about those 4 quotes, I think, is that of those 4 quotes, only 2 of them were made up by me.
In If You Prefer a Milder Comedian, Lee even walks on stage to rock music and a smokescreen, a la Live at the Apollo, only for the smoke to go everywhere and Lee having to restart the show twice over.
Now the smoke's all gone and I haven't got it. I'll go off and then I'll just come out and I'll just go into straight talk. I'll just come on and I'll immediately talk about forget this. And anyway, he was supposed to film that anyway, and he was right up there, so that won't even register. It's a fucking waste of time.
In other words, Lee wants the audience to see the mechanics of his performance, and he points this out with such barefaced conviction that he wants the audience to laugh in the face of it anyway. For the willing audience, the question is not whether they're going to be manipulated, but how, and just how far Lee is willing to go.
To you tonight, and then I've learned this as well. I'm saying now, I've written now, and this now, I've written now, and this, just going like that. I've learned now, I've written now, and this now, I've learned this, and this now, and this, and just going, I've written that, I've learned that. Everything's written and learned.
This is saying nothing, and talk about treating your audience with no respect, of how half the time Lee isn't even talking to the audience directly, but instead is saying how he's manipulating them down the barrel of a camera.
You talk to a camera directly, and it's much lower down than you are.
Well, I think that what the director's helped me to do there, by me literally talking down to the camera, is he's visually represented the air of condescension that comes off everything that I say.
Lee